How anime Battlegrounds games have taken over Roblox. So recently there's been a multitude of new anime Battlegrounds games that have taken over Roblox and have become very popular in the Roblox anime community. So let's check it out and see why these games are doing so well. Now without further ado, don't forget to like, subscribe, and let's get straight into this discussion. Saitama Battlegrounds, aka the strongest Battlegrounds. I recently played this game and from what I could see, this game is very barren in terms of actual scenery and the amount of content in the game. But it seems that it isn't too much of an issue for the players who actually play these type of games, since this game is actually pretty popular. Saitama Battlegrounds has about 3 actual complete characters, with the 4th one being a early access character that you have to pay for. I mean, the devs gotta get their money somehow, but everything else in the game is pretty much free to play, since every character you can just click and play besides the early access one, which I think is another reason why the game is so popular. You don't have to buy anything, you could just have fun with your friends, hop in without anyone having an advantage over you. I like this because it promotes a free-to-play formula I would like to see in more games. Like I said, however, the game is very barren and suffers due to this. The thing that I might have made it a little bit better was the fact that the game does have very good flashy effects and cool destructive effects as well. Also, just the effects of the moves in general can spice up the combat. Speaking of combat, the game has a 3-in-1 system where you can extend with certain moves either when your opponent is in the air or on the ground. Despite me saying the game is very simple and barren, you can actually pull off some pretty decent combos in this game, which can lead to the game having a sort of skill gap in a way. If you know the combos, you will win. Another reason I think this game may have a ton of players is due to the game being supported on all platforms, which means mobile players finally have something to play and the Xbox players actually get to participate in something for once. I also commend this game for having a duel system. The duel mode is simple. You go into a box and get matched up with someone and you just go in, or you could decide to fight your friends or team up in a 2v2 mode. Simple, but most games can't even add basic things like this, so good job to the Saitama Battlegrounds developers. Now speaking on the combat again, when you awaken you actually get some pretty cool moves that showcase the destruction feature in this game, or you can pretend you're Saitama and pull off a pretty cool serious punch with your counter. All in all, Saitama Battlegrounds is probably the most complete package right now, even though the package itself is unfinished. Very simplistic and reminds me of an old school Roblox game where you just hop in and battle it out with your friends without the need of a crazy amount of microtransactions. Younger me would have probably played this game sun up to sundown, so I see why people gravitate towards it, but I also understand that this type of game can get boring very fast, since there is a serious lack of variety in the characters and the gameplay itself, along with the maps being barren and not really interesting to look at. I got bored of this game after maybe an hour or two of playing it, since there wasn't really much driving me to keep playing it. A few things that I would do to elevate this game is definitely add more characters, add some cooler scenery, and also add a actual rank system instead of just duels. Saitama Battlegrounds sits at around 20k players every day and is the most popular out of these new Battlegrounds games. Next up is Heroes Battleground, which is essentially Saitama Battlegrounds but My Hero mode basically. I'm not sure if these games share developers or not, but man, this looks like a carbon copy of the last game. This game comes with 2 complete characters being Stain and Deku, with a 3rd incomplete character that again you have to buy with Robux. Heroes Battlegrounds does have a difference with gameplay, but the barren wasteland of a scenery remains basically the same. Heroes Battlegrounds, however, does have a pretty cool feature where you can brutally beat someone up against a tree, which is my favorite feature. This game lacks a duels mode, which is instantly recognizable and makes the game feel way more incomplete than Saitama Battlegrounds. Gameplay wise, I actually prefer Saitama over this game because Heroes Battlegrounds feels a lot more spammy with less counters. This game is also subjected to a lot of just infinite spam combos with no skill really being involved. I do, however, like the effects more than Saitama Battlegrounds in this game, since they do look really great, along with the really cool ultimate attacks that you can do in this game as well. But other than that, this game is pretty much just a worse version of Saitama Battlegrounds in my opinion. A few things that would make this game better is definitely adding a duels mode similar to Saitama Battlegrounds, a combat rework, more characters to play with, and Heroes Battleground has around 3k players every day. Next, onto a DBZ Battleground game called Z Battlegrounds. Yeah, I didn't really enjoy my time with this one. My main issue with Z Battlegrounds is how clunky it is to play. It feels like an early 2017 Roblox game, to be honest. The content is lacking majorly, and there is essentially 1 character in the game, with 1 extra character again being paid access, which I think is like Jiren or something like that. You are playing on a Tournament of Power map, and again, this game does not have a duels mode, which again is very unfortunate. This game suffers from offering you a very similar experience to Saitama but without the smoothness and combos and gameplay. You are basically racing to see who can get Ultra Instinct mode first and one-shot each other, which to me just isn't really fun. This one definitely is probably my least favorite out of all the Battlegrounds games that I've played, and it just feels really outdated and weird to play for some reason. Things that would make this game better better would include a major rework to the combat and effects, a dual mode again, and more characters. Now on to Sorcerer's Battlegrounds. This game is of course based off Jujutsu Kaisen. A bit of a more interesting map than the last 3 games. The game just has you playing as Gojo in one, again, early access character that you can pay for. The game lacks dueling again, which is such an underrated feature of Saitama Battlegrounds that I just don't understand why more games don't add. The gameplay is very basic with powers from the Gojo in the show. It just lacks the advancement of the combat, and due to this, the game feels very clunky. The domain expansion is pretty cool, I guess, but the game got boring after probably less than 15 minutes of me playing, unfortunately. This game is also the lowest rated out of all these games with a 74%. This game could potentially be great, but it just lacks basic features, and the gameplay is just lacking along with the lack of content each of these games have. Not much to say about Sorcerer's Battlegrounds. It's just a bottom of the barrel fighting game that tried to copy Saitama Battlegrounds but kind of failed in my opinion. Moving on to Fruit Battlegrounds, which is a relatively new game that came out last year. Fruit Battlegrounds is a one-piece game that tried to take the non-beta reader route and went the Elemental Battlegrounds route, which is another game that was pretty great back in the day. The game has a gacha system which to me screams money grab, but when the game first started out, it wasn't that bad since most fruits were viable, but it was obvious fruits like Quake and Flame were pretty good at the time. The game was quite addictive and the combos you could pull off were also pretty cool since I used ice. A lot of people did auto click for progression since it really wasn't fair to play without all your moves. The main problem with Fruit Battlegrounds was the power creep, as more fruits like Magma and Gear 4 were slowly being brought out as the devs decided they weren't going to rework the older fruits, which led to a serious power gap between the newer and older fruits in the game. So most people would just spin for whatever fruit was new and OP, which made me stop playing since I didn't want to keep spending Robux every time the game updated and had another serious power creep. It unfortunately ruined the game for me, and I haven't touched Fruit Battlegrounds in months due to this. The game is still decently popular, averaging around 7 to 8k daily. Now we have Rogue Demon. This game is quite old, but I think it inspired a lot of the new Battlegrounds games we have today. Rogue Demon isn't my favorite Demon Slayer game, but it has a unique spin on the Demon Slayer formula. It has tons of different breathings and blood demon arts you can use. The gameplay allows you to do all different types of combos and such. Of course, the game has its own ranked mode after you get 50 kills in the FFA mode. My only issue with the gameplay is the fact that it can sometimes feel very clunky when you're switching between your sword and your moves. I'm not sure if there's a way you can change this, but I hope there is. Unfortunately, this kind of ruins the game for me, but I can see why this is a popular game since it provides you with many different ways to play. Most of the breathings and blood demon arts are free, which is great as well. Although the game does have a very toxic community, Rogue Demon is among one of the most popular Demon Slayer games on Roblox, and it's the second most popular one behind Project Slayers. The game averages around 10 to 15k players daily and gets updated quite often. Now, I must answer the question, why are these new Battlegrounds games more popular than games like ABA or Anime Showdown? The simple answer to this is because these new Battlegrounds games are just a lot more new player friendly, meaning the skill ceiling is not as high. Most Roblox players are young children or teens on mobile devices, so games like ABA and Anime Showdown are inaccessible to most of these people. With these new Battlegrounds games being on all platforms, this increases the player count of these games. With a game like ABA, which has been out for a long time, many people are very good, which discourages new players to play and try the game since they're always getting destroyed by the veterans of the game that have been playing the game for a long time. But with a game like Saitama Battlegrounds or even Heroes Battlegrounds, you can always find someone near your skill level since this is a very casual, friendly game. These new Battlegrounds games really take me back to the old days where you have games like Sword Fights on the Heights or games like Elemental Battlegrounds where you just hop in and have fun with your friends for hours, and I'm really glad to see these games pop off. All these games need are more content to go along with it, and they will be even more enjoyable for many other people. Hopefully we can see more fun games like this in the future with less pay to win features, but as I said in my video, if you guys enjoyed the video and you'd like to see more content like this one, please make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel. And thank you for 20,000 subscribers. I truly appreciate all the love and support you guys have been showing on the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.